Hello everybody, in this video we're going to make footstep sounds. We also are going to add a jump button and allow the player to jump as well. We are going to be using Mixamo and this classic footstep SFX by Anett. So this is going to be the footsteps, and we're going to show the footsteps real quick how we can do that. So what we're going to do is first we will go to our animations and where our footsteps are at. So walking, I probably have this already set up, but go to events and I do got it set up. I'm going to use our character, so I'm going to drag in this universal player or male. Actually, I'm going to rename this to player real quick. That way we know it's our player. So go back to the walking and we go to our events. Now this event allows you to play a certain function when you want, pretty much. So if I go over here down here to my character's feet, I'm just going to play it, and once there's this footstep where I think he has actually stepped on the ground, I'm going to say around there, I'm going to click on this button right here, which is going to add event, and the function we're going to play is called play footstep, and it's going to be located in the player controller. I haven't set up the function yet, but just name your function anything you want, but make sure it matches the script. And then I'm also going to add another footstep when he lands right about here. It's another, if we click on it, it's also called play footstep. There's nothing on the float or int or string. It's all zeros and basically nothing. So I could erase this. It's just going to add a 0 to it. And this is the player controller script. If I go and I actually type it, player controller, it's this one right here. So if you have this named something else, then just make sure that it's the script that is controlling this function right here. And once we have that all set and done, we're just going to hit apply. And now we're going to go to our script and actually code that out. We're going to actually make a separate function, and we're going to add right here a serialized field. Actually, I'm going to add it above the boolean. It doesn't matter where you put it, but I'm going to add it above the boolean or the bool, and I'm just going to put audio source, and I'm going to put player audio. And this is the one that's going to play the footsteps. Under my update, I'm going to put public, or actually not public, just a void play footstep. So this is the one that you have to have exactly the same as that function I was telling you about earlier. This actually has to match this one right here, so make sure it is spelled correctly. If not, you could always just copy and paste it. If I go to events, click on this, copy it and paste it, and now we're gonna continue with our code. We're just gonna put if audio or player audio dot is playing. If this audio is playing, then we're just gonna put player audio dot stop. That way it doesn't play twice. Else we're gonna put player audio dot play. Now we might change this up and later on, but for now we're gonna keep it like that. And we're gonna go back and we're gonna add an audio source to our player. So audio source, and we're gonna add the audio source up here to player audio, and we're gonna add an audio clip. So if I go, I'm gonna lock this real quick so it doesn't change. I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna go to classic footsteps, ground, and I'm gonna click on this ground right here, ground step 0. You guys could choose anything you guys want. And now if I play this and walk around, it should add the footsteps. Now hopefully that is working and you can hear the footsteps every time he is walking around. I can't really hear it because of my microphone being connected, but it should be playing, and hopefully it's not too loud as well. Now we're gonna do the same thing. We could do the same thing with pretty much anything. So let's go and add our jumping animation. I already have a jump right here, but I'm just going to show you real quick how we could do that as well. So go to Mixamo, upload your character, drag in your mesh, and then make sure you upload it. This is the character. I'm going to type jump, and the jump that I want to use is going to be, I think I use this jump, and I'm going to make sure it's in place. So you could change the override, you could change the character arm space and all that. So just pick what you want, change what you need to, and click download. FBX for Unity without skin, and then just hit download. Once you download it, make sure you drag it into your project. I dragged it into my animation. I'm gonna do the same thing for the events. I have some right here already, but if we look at it and I drag it, this is where I want the first footstep to play, around here. So as you can see, my foot kind of fell right about here, and I'm gonna add the next footstep right about here. So it's all says play footstep. It should work now. Now we're just gonna code the jumping part of this. Now we're gonna go to our canvas. We're going to go to UI, create a button. So here's the button, and we're gonna put jump button, and on our text. Actually, we're gonna bring this down. Click on this little middle one, hit Shift Alt, and it will position it to where you want. It's gonna be kind of centered right there. I'm gonna drag it up, move it to the left a bit. I'm gonna change the UI sprite to a knob. Later on, we will make our buttons and anything on our canvas a little more prettier, but for now, we're just gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna click 200 on the width and 180 on the height. I'll probably drag this down just a little more down. And the text, I'm gonna erase the text. I'm gonna add a UI image, and this UI image, I got it from free icons. So let me show you real quick. I'm not sure where I got it from, but I'm just gonna download this one. It's freeicons.io, so I'm gonna download it as a PNG. Now, as you can see right here, it says download, you must attribute to its author. If you go to the little information, this is how you would attribute it. If you're gonna actually publish it, at least make sure you give attribution to the author. And if you're just doing this for a fun project, it really don't matter. And if you don't want to give credit to the author, make sure you get a subscription. But we're just gonna do free, and since we're not publishing this, I don't have to give credit to the author, but we should give credit where credit is due. So I'm gonna click on it, and the author is Kun Lei, so hopefully I didn't butcher that name. And as I said, it was from freeicons.io, but you guys could get it from anywhere you want. Just make sure you guys don't get in trouble for downloading something that you shouldn't be or anything like that. So now that I have my icon, go to textures, and I'm gonna bring this in. As you can see, I cannot bring it in, so I'm gonna click on the image, go to texture type, put sprite 2D and UI. Sprite mode, I'm gonna go to single, and everything else should be good. So I'm just gonna hit apply, go back to the image, and now I am able to drag it in, and that's going to be my jump image. Now on the button, I am just going to decrease the color a bit so it could be a little more transparent, so maybe about there, and that should be it for the button. Right now we're going to add an on-click event, so we could add the plus, but first we got to actually have some code for it. So the code we're going to get is from the player controller. As you can see, there's that player controller, but let's code in the jump function first. For the jump function, we are going to add a couple variables to our list. The first one we're going to add is going to be up here. It's going to be jump force. It's going to be a float. We're also going to have a ground check radius. The jump force, we're just going to default it to something like 5. We're going to have a ground check radius, and that's going to be equal to something like 0.1 f, so float. Then after that, we will have a layer mask. So the layer mask I will put down here, serialized field. Doesn't matter where you put it, layer mask. And this is going to be a ground layer. We're also going to have a transform. So this is going to be serialized field as well. Transform ground check. We'll just put ground check, and we're going to add one more thing, and it's going to be a bool, but it's going to be private, and it's just going to be called is grounded. This will be true when we are on the ground. It will be false when we are not. After that, we will start with our code. We're just going to go right here to the update, and we're going to put is grounded is going to be equal to physics dot check sphere, and the sphere is going to be, the position of the sphere is going to be ground check dot position, and the size or the radius of it will be ground check radius, and then the layer mask we're going to use is ground layer. That should be it right there. And then we will add our function called public. It's going to be public because we are going to use the button. Public jump, or public void jump, and then we're just going to put if is grounded. So if he's on the ground, we want to get the component. Well, actually, we don't have to get component. We just got to get the rigid body and add a force of vector 3 dot up. We're going to multiply it by jump force, and it's going to be force mode dot impulse. We're going to go up in the up direction, multiply it by the jump force. If you want to go extremely high, you just put an extreme value on the jump force. If you don't really want to go too high, just put a low value, and we're going to use the impulse. And if you read down there, it says it adds an instant force impulse to the rigid body using its mass, and that's something we want to do. Now this is something we haven't done in the animator yet, but we will do it right now. So we're just going to put player animator dot set trigger, and we're going to put jump. And I'll show you where we're going to do this on our animator. If we go to our animator, which I have up here, if you guys don't have this window, just go to window animation animator. I already have it set up, and right here on our animator, we're going to make a parameter. We're going to add a trigger. Just click trigger, and we'll get this. If we click on it, it's just going to say new trigger, but just rename it to whatever you want. I'm going to rename it to jump. We're going to add a transition from any state, and any state just means like it don't matter what animation is playing, you will be able to jump. So if I'm on the breathing idle, I will be able to jump. If I'm in the walking animation, I'm going to be able to jump. If, let's say I'm doing a punch combo, I will be able to jump as well. If I'm able to press both buttons at the same time. So we'll click on this, we'll make a transition, click make transition, and just drag the arrow to here, and then click on the jump button. And then on this make transition, we're gonna remove has exit time. The settings, we're gonna have a fixed duration to 0.25, and then on the conditions, we're just gonna go down to jump. Now for the transition, so make another transition, click on walking, and for that we are gonna have an exit time, and it's gonna be at 0.8, and it won't have a fixed duration, and we put these at 0. There's no need for a condition because it does have an exit time. The parameter, the name of it, jump, is actually this one right here. Now if we go back, so if you don't name this to jump, just make sure it is spelled exactly what you named it right here. So now let's go to jump button, go to the no function, go to player controller, and click on jump. Now another thing we gotta do for this to be able to work is go to your ground, any part of the ground that you want to jump on. Of course you don't want to jump off a wall or whatever like that. I mean, you might, but in this game for GTA clone, you don't want to do that. We're going to click on this road. We're going to go to add layer, add a ground layer, and then we'll go back to the ground. And right here where it says layer, make sure it is set to ground. And you would have to do that for every piece of place you want to jump on. All these are ground layers, but let's say down back here, it's at default. So right now we're going to go to it. Or actually, let's just go a little forward over here. Right here, it's at default. I'm going to go over here and try to jump as well, and you will see that it will not work. Now let's just play the game, and if everything worked correctly, we should hear sound and we should be able to jump. But there is an unsigned reference exception, like I always do. So for this, go to your player, ground layer, make sure it is ground, and then ground check. I'm going to use the player's feet, so we'll just drag in the feet, but you could actually make a separate game object, place it to where the player's foot is or feet are, and then that would work as well. And now if I hit play, we don't get no error, and if we jump, there's our little jump. Now as I said, if we go all the way over here, somewhere around here, it's not set to ground layer, so I cannot jump. But as soon as I move back, at least far enough, I could jump again. You just have to make sure all your ground layers are set to it. So all the grounds are set to ground layer. If not, you won't be able to jump. If I click this multiple times, he will not jump unless he's back on the ground. Now, last thing I'm going to do is just add like a debug tool, so you could actually see where your ground check is and how big the radius is. So if I go back to the script, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to add a void on draw gizmos. Make sure it is spelled exactly like this. This is something you can't name anything you want because it's a function from Unity, just like void update or void awake. And then we're going to put gizmos dot color is going to be equal to color dot, and then there's a bunch of ones you could put. You could also put new color and set your own color as well. I'm going to do something like maybe yellow, or let's do magenta. And then after that, we're going to put gizmos dot draw sphere. You could do sphere or wire sphere. I'm just going to do sphere so it could be a little easier to see. And then we're going to, the center, it's asking for the center right there. We're going to put ground check, and then the radius is going to be ground check radius. And right here you see I get an error, so just put ground check dot position. Now if we go back, we should be able to see our gizmo. So as you can see, there's that little gizmo right there. If we increase the radius, it increases as well. Let's say I keep it like this, I will be able to double jump because when I jump, it's still on the ground. So if I double click, so you can see I'm able to click it 2 times before he's actually off the ground completely with the ground check radius. So that's why I have it set to something small like 0.1. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys found it useful, if you guys enjoyed it, or if you guys even learned something new, I would appreciate it if you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you want to continue to see this GTA clone, and hit that bell icon if you want to get notified as soon as I post the video. Once again, thank you guys.